Afternoon, everybody. We moved the meeting earlier today because there's a few people that got to travel later tonight, so. Okay, can we have approval of agenda? And I do have one add-on. It's, yeah, okay, right. First of all, we would like to begin by acknowledging that we are in Robin Superior Treaty Territory, and the land on which we gather is the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe and the Métis. Now we'll have approval of agenda, and I have an add-on, the Director of Operations report. Flo Darling preventative maintenance contract, and we'll put that under Committee of the Whole number 9. That's all I have. Hearing no more, has anybody got any disclosures of interest? Hearing none, we'll move into delegations. And we have one. You want to introduce Nathan?
Yes. We have Suzanne Kuko here from Nipigon, representing Superior Country, joining us today. Suzanne, the floor is yours for your presentation.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mayor and Council, Schreiber and administration. Thank you so much for having me today to present to you our proposal for Phase 2 of the Lake Superior North Shore Tourism Project. I know there's some of you that are new to council this year and might not know too much about the project that's been going on for almost 3 years now. So I'll just start. I have my proposal up here, so I'll just go past the introduction page there. So I'm just going to start out with a little bit of a background of this project. So it started at July 1st in 2020. And we did have an extension added on to the end. It was supposed to be for 3 years, but we had an extension, an amendment to the FedNor contract to extend it to November 2023. There was a gap in there. I wasn't the first person in this role as the Lake Superior North Shore Tourism Coordinator, so there was a gap when there wasn't one, so we were able to add some time on the end there to make up for that, which is good. So the project is meant to implement the Lake Superior North Shore tourism strategy that was done in 2018, and that was developed with DNO, Parks Canada, and in consultation with tourism stakeholders across the North Shore. So the catchment area for this project currently is Silver Islet to Manitowoc and everything in between. And the reason for that catchment area is to encompass all of the LSNMCA, as well as Superior North CFDC area. So the strategy identified significant gaps in the North Shore's tourism sector that would be filled through the implementation of this strategy. So, you know, looking at capacity challenges, we've all experienced that across the North Shore. The economic development role covers a whole lot of stuff, not just tourism, so it's filling that gap. And then just providing support for the small communities in the realm of tourism. So the project is the 3 years, as I said, $450,000 initiative. And there you can see all the partners that are involved in the project as it stands in its current Phase 1 state. So Phase 2 purpose and objectives. So we're looking to do the project over another 3 years. There's been a lot done, and you guys have hopefully seen the annual, some of you may have been to the annual general meeting of Superior Country or seen the report that was generated for that annual general meeting. And there was quite an update in there on our Lake Superior North Shore Tourism Project. It's been quite successful over the past 3 years. So we're just looking to continue on with that momentum and keep going. And there have been a couple of things, items that have come up that weren't proposed in the original grant application and project proposal from, I think it was 4 years ago now that it was done for FedNor. So there are some things that have come up that we're looking to expand upon. So we've had some success in delivering our key performance indicators as defined by FedNor. So I'm going to go into those in a little bit here. And our current projects or projects that we've already completed. We've completed the North Shore Culinary Strategy, which our Superior Picnics program was generated from. We completed a Group of 7, an Indigenous Group of 7 strategy as well. Some projects have been generated from that. We've brought on the Great Lakes Waterfront Trail Superior Expansion Study. So I was involved in getting some funding, minimal funding, but still funding from Thunder Bay CEDC through their MAT tax, which was great. We brought them in as a partner, and now they're fully engaged with that expansion of that cycling trail, which is in phase 2 right now, mapping and wayfinding. We developed Parks Canada with our input, developed a trails assessment guide for small communities and trails organizations along the North Shore. The 2S LGBTQ plus product strategy and development plan that has been started, it's going to be finished by the end of March. So that's again including Thunder Bay and the North Shore. We've done some community outreach and education. We actually just completed a Group of 7 product development workshop that was put on by Algoma Country that the communities, representatives from the communities were invited to, which was quite successful. It was like a train the trainer kind of deal on how to develop more Group of 7 quality product for tourism. And of course our Superior Picnics program, where we purchased with input or with financial input from each community a really high quality accessible picnic table, which is branded as a Superior Picnic Table, and we've thrown a lot of marketing and promotion behind that for the communities and the restaurants in our communities. And Golden Rail is involved in that program, or was involved the last couple of years. Accommodations investment attraction, we developed a brochure that was in the first year that I was involved in the program, in the project. Waterfront panels that were developed with Canadian Lighthouses of Lake Superior. I developed, facilitate a North Shore Regional Trails Network. So this is just to keep municipal representatives as well as trails groups in communication, not constantly, but quarterly, about what's going on, what's happening, and if anyone has any questions or lessons learned or any projects that they'd like to partner with other groups in. It's actually been pretty valuable, especially for new people, new council members. There's been some council members that have sat on that network just to get an idea of what's going on, and for new staff as well. We developed the Top of Superior Hiking Trails Guide, so that was taken from the Parks Canada one that was done. We're working on an Indigenous Group of 7 inter-panel, the cruise ships. As you guys know, we had our intern, Shalane, and I've applied for another intern that we should hear by the end of March, because Shalane's contract was up. And we do the familiarization tours as well. This will be our 3rd season doing that. So our key performance indicators that were set by FEDNOR, they're all in your package there that you can see. I mean, I'm not going to read those out, but the project, as you can see by those KPIs, has been very successful. And as I said, we just want to change up those KPIs for phase 2 and set some more goals that we can achieve and show more success in our phase 2 project. Okay, so the phase 2, as I said, is an expansion of the current project. We're looking at another 3 years. Hopefully, we're working on the funding for it. And we're looking at continuing with current initiatives, like the ones I spoke about. They're all listed there in your package. And then the second component of the project, this is really important. We're looking at different projects, expanding and doing new projects. So we've done a lot of the recommendations that have been brought forward by that 2018 strategy. So we're looking at maybe doing an update to that. And again, these are suggestions. These are just things that Dan and I have brought to the table as doing in phase 2. So if any of the community partners have any suggestions as well, of course, we'll be up for that. Implementation of additional components of the North Shore food development strategy. So we're looking at maybe doing more itineraries like the Pie Path. being more involved with Indigenous tourism. So trying to get more of our Indigenous partners involved in tourism and into our initiatives. Support communities and nonprofits and obtaining resources for events. So I've been sitting on a lot of strategic planning, especially with Red Rock, and Terrace Bay was going through a marketing strategic plan. They're still going through that process. And I've been hearing a lot of issues with events and planning of events, and it's, you know, solely, a lot of it is just based on the work of volunteers. So looking for, you know, for more help for those folks would be good. And then continuing with water access development to improve the boating market readiness, LGBTQ implementation of that strategy, of course, and Kinghorn Rail to Trail. We're continuing working on trails initiatives as well. So here are all the benefits, of course, of our project. You know, continuing to increase the development spend in our North Shore communities, and really continuing to make sure that we as a North Shore are a destination. Like that is the main goal of this whole project, this whole initiative, phase 1 and 2, is to create the North Shore as a destination, because we know that each of our little communities, as wonderful as they are, no one's flying to Thunder Bay and driving to Nipigon and staying there for a week. I mean, unless they're going hunting or fishing, that's a whole different animal. But we want to make our area a destination so people they can stay for a week and experience all kinds of things along the North Shore. You know, that's more realistic, and that's our goal. So additional partners have been interested, shown interest in actually getting involved with this project, which is great. That's another way of expanding and maybe creating some sustainability beyond any funding that we get. So, you know, Thunder Bay has been interested in Nebing as well, and an additional park, Puckasaw, was looking at being involved as well. So here's our budget that we have set out, and again, it's a little more money than the first phase was, but of course expenses have gone up, and as we all know, prices have gone up for everything, including travel, so that's reflected there. And here's the support scenario that we're looking at as well. So as you can see, we're asking Schreiber, in the phase 1 it was $1,000 a year. We're looking at $1,200 a year now for 3 years. And as you can see in the support scenario, it's quite a good bang for your buck. It's good value for money. You're leveraging, you know, $470,000 project from that $3,600 investment. So that is the end of my presentation, and if anyone has any questions, please feel free to ask.
Of course, you can see that the recommendation to support Superior Country here will be coming up in the Committee of the Whole. So now's your opportunity to ask any questions. I think everyone's good.
Okay. All right, and Nathan, you know where I am. You have my contact information. If anything else comes up, just send me an email, and I'll be happy to help you out.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Suzanne.
Thanks, guys. Have a good meeting. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye. See you. Okay, move on to question period.
No questions.
No questions. Okay. So, in minutes of previous meetings, resolution 66-23. Moved by Councillor Peugeot, seconded by Councillor McGrath, that the minutes of the Council and Committee of the Whole meeting held February 14th, 2023 be accepted as circulated. Discussion? All those in favor? Carried. Resolution 67-23. Moved by Councillor Burgeot, second by Councillor Morrow, that the minutes of the special council meeting held February 17th, 2023 be accepted as circulated. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Carried. Is there any business arising from the minutes of the meeting held February 14th or February 17th? Hearing none, we'll move on to the committee of the whole recommendations. Resolution 68-23. Moved by Councillor McGrath, seconded by Councillor Burgeot, that council approve the expenditure request and approval to proceed from the Ontario Clean Water Agency for the replacement of butterfly valves at the Schreiber Water Treatment Plant in the amount of $10,471.61, including applicable taxes. Discussion? All those in favor? Carried. Resolution 69-23. Moved by Councillor Burgeot, second by Councillor McGrath, that council approve the expenditure request and approval to proceed from the Ontario Clean Water Agency for the anthracite purchase requiring to top up filter media at the Schreiber Water Treatment Plant before the spring in the amount of $8,792.57, including applicable taxes. Discussion? All those in favor? Carried. Resolution 70-23. Moved by Councillor McGrath, seconded by Councillor Burgeot, that council accept the quotation from Simcoe to supply and install a brine filter at the ice plant at the arena in the amount of $3,914.71, excluding applicable taxes. Discussion? All those in favor? Carried. Resolution 71-23. Moved by Councillor Morrow, seconded by Councillor Burgeot, that council accept the quotation from NovaPro Industrial Supply for the purchase of 12 calendar parking signs in the amount of $1,920, excluding applicable taxes. Discussion?
And again, these are going to be installed spring, summer, or fall, these parking signs?
Yeah.
Okay.
All those in favor? Carried. Resolution 72-23, moved by Councillor Burgeot, seconded by Councillor McGrath, that council support the Great Lakes Waterfront Trail Partnership Program with an annual contribution of $500 per year to the Waterfront Regeneration Trust. Discussion? All those in favor? Carried. Resolution 73-23, moved by Councillor McGrath, seconded by Councillor Burgeot. The council approved the expenditure request and approval to proceed from the Ontario Clean Water Agency for the variable frequency drive replacement at the Schreiber wastewater treatment plant in the amount of $18,613.55, including applicable taxes. Discussion? All those in favor? Carried. So we'll move on to accounts for payment.
Mayor, just before you move on, just a quick question. On the resolution for support of Great Lakes, I thought maybe it was two, that's why I was waiting for you to say the second one. For that Great Lakes Waterfront Trail Partnership Program, it was $500 a year, but wasn't it also $2,200, the original amount we had to put in for signage?
No, that $2,200 was what we were looking at, what initially they were looking at as a rough amount to get little brackets and all to
Yeah.
include that signage.
Right.
But we're not gonna be procuring that from anywhere. This would just come out of our regular operating budget.
Okay, so it's just the 500, okay,
Yeah.
sorry.
In case we do need to go to a third-party supplier, we then may, what you say, have to look at bringing some sort of procurement to the table.
Okay,
But
okay, sorry. Sorry about that. Okay.
Okay, resolution 74-23, moved by Councillor Burgeot, second by Councillor Morrow. The council approved the attendance of Councillor Burgeot and Councillor McGrath at the mediation session to be held March 1st, 2023 in Thunder Bay, and that expenses be paid as per township policy. Discussion? All those in favor? Carried. Resolution 75-23. Moved by Councillor Burgeot, seconded by Councillor McGrath. The council transferred to the cemetery reserve $1,190, which represents 50% of the columbarium sales in 2022. Discussion? All those in favor? Carried. Resolution 76-23, moved by Councillor Morrow, seconded by Councillor Burgeot, that council transfer from the infrastructure reserve $21,961.34 as budgeted in bylaw 34-2022 to cover the cost of the asset management plan. Discussion? All those in favor? Carried. Resolution 77-23. Moved by Councillor McGrath, seconded by Councillor Burgeot, that council transfer to the water and sewer reserve $35,000 as budgeted in bylaw 34-2022 for the water treatment plant process optimization filter study. Discussion?
We're transferring two? I thought we already did that.
Marlene, do you wanna answer that?
These are all recommendations out of the previous meeting.
Like,
I don't have a copy of the resolution. Can you repeat it? And then I'll go back and look at your.
The
meeting.
council transferred to the water and sewer reserve 35,000 as budgeted in bylaw 34/2022.
$35,000 is budgeted in 34/2022 for the water treatment plant process optimization filter study?
Correct.
Yes, because you didn't do it in 2022, but you raised the taxes.
Yeah.
So it goes to water and sewer at the end of 22.
So it was just discussed at a prior meeting, Marlene? It actually wasn't moved?
The resolution was not passed at the previous, none of these are the,
These are all from
the
the
report
17th.
from the 17th was the recommendations.
Okay,
And then these are the resolutions.
so these are the recommendations from February 17th?
Correct.
Okay, all right, sorry. Sorry, Mayor?
Okay,
Okay,
all those in favor? Carried. Resolution 78-23. Moved by Councillor Bergeau, seconded by Councillor McGrath. Excuse me, that council transfer to the water and sewer reserve $10,000 as budgeted in bylaw 34/2022 for the SCADA hardware upgrade project. Discussion? All those in favor? Carried. Move on to other business, resolution 79-23. Moved by Councillor Morrow, seconded by Councillor Bergeau, that bylaw 5-2023 being a bylaw to establish site plan control in the Township of Schreiber be given first, second, third, and final reading and enacted. Discussion?
I have questions. So this, Nathan, can you explain this? Is this like an addendum to our zoning bylaw?
Nope, site plan control is one of the sections provided under the Planning Act, and it's a means for council to control development beyond just zoning. So while zoning may specify, for instance, that a property such as let's just say a building needs to comply with certain front yard, rear yard setbacks. The difficulty is sometimes measuring that out. In other words, there may not be any definitive property boundaries, but when you have something like a site plan, especially if you use an OLS survey to develop that site plan, what happens is you can actually get an Ontario land surveyor to create that and show where the building is on the property, and that you have a really credible third-party review that provides definitive proof of a property, for instance, maintaining those setbacks. And what happens is once council reviews that site plan, it will actually be registered on title on that property. So it's just another means of controlling development within a property and to assure that certain zoning provisions are actually maintained by the means of a third party such as a Ontario land surveyor.
So the description of the site plan control area, that rural zone seems to accompany a lot of changes. So my question then is, what's considered rural?
Rural is defined in the zoning bylaw, so it's actually the hierarchy of land zoning designations. For instance, at the highest tier, you sort of have what's official plan land designations, where it will state something as living area, for instance, or commercial area. And then based on that, your zoning will now break that official plan designation into further criteria, and will have zoning designations then applied. And rural, for instance, is a interesting category, because it's a category where, for instance, you will have a bit of industry happening through agriculture, as well as also providing residence. I think one of the interesting aspects, and I'll have to double check there, is I think it puts an emphasis on the agricultural uses first, but I need to take a look at that and see. But
So-
it's typically any sort of area surrounding the municipality, right? So that would be under the rural zone.
So that's the, rural doesn't necessarily mean residential.
No, it's
Okay.
a completely separate zone.
Because it's the rural, residential Walker's Lake,
Yeah.
residential seasonal,
Yep,
mobile home parks, general commercial, highway commercial, industrial.
yep.
Okay. All right. Okay, I just didn't, okay. So this is separate from zoning.
It is separate from zoning, and that's why, right, whenever we're checking any sort of development proposals, where any sort of development falls under site plan control, we would actually request to see that site plan. That site plan would then, it's a part of a process, there would be an application. The planner and myself would review that site plan, and once we get a site plan where it meets all the criteria of the zoning, at that point, it would be brought forward to council to review, to take a look at, and if there's no further comments for council, we can go ahead and get it registered on title.
Okay.
So this is all part of the development process, and really why you have residential land, for instance, on site plan control is typically due to waterfront properties, where we need to really check for those setbacks from the lake as required by the province.
Okay. Okay. Thanks.
Okay, hearing no further discussion, all those in favor? Carried. Resolution 80-23. Moved by Councilor McGrath, seconded by Councilor Bergeau, that bylaw 6-2023 being a bylaw to authorize the Township of Schreiber to enter into an agreement with the Northern Ontario Heritage Fund Corporation under the People and Talent Program, file number 740-1050, be given first, second, third, and final reading and enacted. Discussion?
So overall, you'd be looking again at this stream at a, it will be covering 55.34% of contributions of eligible costs up to a maximum of $35,000. We'll be covering funding for our FSBA position up to 52 weeks.
So part of that we just covered. The only thing I have is, it's more of an operational question, not really a bylaw question, is just considering the varied and specific duties that this one person is going to perform. Is the cost of the wages not covered going to be split up in several departments, or all expense to economic development?
Right now, I believe it's, well, formally it was expense just under economic development. That is a good question. Marlene, do you have any comments on that? or will it likely
I would-
remain the same
I
in
would
the
continue
GL?
to budget under the economic development, cause that's the majority of the function of the job at this point in time.
Okay.
And for consistency, because
Yep.
the funding will start from 2022
Yep.
and then will end in 2023, so.
Yep, that is a good question though.
And Nathan, who's gonna be, I mean, typically this person is the one that's, completing reports. Who will be doing the reports for this one?
The report for this one, yeah,
I'm going to assume it won't be her.
yeah, and then in terms of, areas that could be filled, for instance, like, we could do, where the reporting would be a bit conflicted would be, for instance, if they request any sort of, performance appraisals on the program, or where they state, you know, obviously in that circumstance, it's gonna have to be the supervisor, so, either Marlene or myself would have to provide those, reports, in there. But, otherwise, where there's no, conflict, you know, she should be able to also fill in the,
Well, a lot of it's just wages, right?
Yes.
Reporting wages and works that were
Exactly.
paid and stuff, but you're
Those
right, there will be a
documents.
piece
Yes.
asking for that, okay.
I know, formerly under, CNO, I had
Yeah.
to take care of that, so, you know, I had to prepare that part of,
Right.
the grant, but where it came for any sort of, feedback on the grant and all itself, that was, from my managers at the time. So-
Okay.
I would also just say that in the past, when we do anything that has to do with payroll, that part is done by me, and any of the verbiage part would be done by the supervisor. So in this situation, it wouldn't be the FSP doing the reporting on the payroll, like, because it's a payroll
Function.
report, yeah, so.
But she, the verbiage, she also would not be doing, somebody else is gonna be taking care of that, right? Okay, just because it's her job, okay, very good.
All those in favor? Carried. I'll get the other two spots. Okay, that wraps up the council portion of the meeting, so committee of the whole portion, department reports. Number one, the treasurer report, 2023 tax ratio sensitivity analysis.
There's a recommendation from the treasurer that the 2023 tax ratio bylaw be drafted using 2022 adopted ratios, and that no tax rate discounts be applied to commercial or industrial subclasses.
So this is not to set a levy, this is just to set a ratio.
Yes,
Between how the taxes are garnered and
Yes.
split, right. So we're not gonna make any
Yeah.
changes to it.
Exactly.
Okay.
The main component here, for instance, if, this provincial range of fairness that was put out by
Mhm.
provincial regulation, in the past, you know, it's a sort of this blanket policy, so, it doesn't really take into account the, specific tax burdens in very specific communities, and, our township has a substantial, residential tax burden.
Yes.
I think Marlene, you had stated it's at like 73% residential
Yes.
rates.
Under, yeah.
So, an important thing, part of this is, for instance, you can only move closer to what they've stated as their, the provincial range of fairness, for instance, with the commercial class. And if you start doing that, you can never go back.
You can't roll back, right.
So all of those, all of that burden would, for instance, be transferred then to your residential tax class permanently, so.
So we're just gonna hold the line and keep that ratio the same as it was last year.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a conversation with Marty yesterday too about the burden of, the residential class, and a lot of the people that are in that class are seniors on fixed income, so they in a lot of circumstances don't have a way to grow their income, so the burden is a burden. We didn't want to increase that in this community.
No. And if you drop it, the only thing you can do is put it onto something else.
That's right.
Yeah.
You gotta pick it up somewhere else.
Okay. All right.
Okay, hearing no more, treasurer's report on council expense and remuneration report for 2022.
Recommendation, the council received the expense and remuneration report for the year that ended December 31st, 2022.
I have no problem with it.
These are expressed as whole numbers. I mean, for instance, it's expressed as a whole number to each individual councillor or the mayor, but they're expensed through training, through travel. I mean, they're all inclusive, these amounts, right?
You're saying for the various components?
Right,
of-
yeah.
Yeah,
Because I mean, there's mileage, there's travel, there's registration fees,
Right.
there's hotels expense, and then there's the actual remuneration, what we're paid. So
Yep.
these numbers are rolled up, but
yeah.
within these separate categories, they're all expense to different GLs.
Yes.
Okay.
Marlene, how many GLs would this be encapsulating then?
I'd say like four,
Four,
ultimately,
three,
cause
four.
you'd have your salary, benefits, and then really your mileage, your travel would go to your council expenses, and registration fees would go to, registrations, memberships, and,
Memberships?
yeah, the majority of it goes to council travel and other expenses though.
Right, okay. Okay,
Okay, we're good with that? Director of Operations report, status update? I guess we got something on the handy transit.
The handy transit, the insurance adjuster has come and looked at it. He has determined based on a look that, potentially it could be repaired. So now it moves to the next phase, which is, to strip it down in a mechanical, facility to take a look at, the more in-depth operations of the van to see if it's still feasible to fix. But until that happens, it's not etched in stone that it's repairable, but it looks like it will be. So
Okay.
I have, I've got the RFP out right now, with a closing date on March 8. However, I have been told that it's 12 to 13 months for delivery on a new one. I've also been looking at the possibility of renting, a wheelchair accessible vehicle. There is absolutely none available. The only thing that I have found is Southland School Bus that is already located in Terrace Bay. They can provide us service, between school hours. So, after speaking with, the individual at the hospital that takes care of all the bookings, we feel that, we can probably rent the wheelchair accessible vehicle 1 day a week, and the rest of the time service, the patrons with an SUV. So I'm in, conversations with, local dealers for a rental, and, that's progressing very well. I'm stopping tomorrow, on my way home to check out, one of the vehicles that they have, proposed to make sure that it can accommodate a walker in the back, in the cargo area. So that's all moving forward. We had a meeting today, with, all parties concerned, and, it seems to be agreeable that we proceed this way until, the van is repaired and we can get it back on the road.
that's the ultimate goal, if we can get it back on the road until the new one comes in.
That's right.
Ultimately, yeah,
That's
okay.
right. Otherwise, I mean, if it ends up getting written off, we might be better off to buy a secondhand SUV as opposed to renting it for a year.
Right, depending on whether they fix it or
Right,
turf it.
so we're
Okay.
still kind of in limbo, so at this point, it's best to consider renting.
Is that getting done locally, the damage assessment?
Yes, it was originally at, the dealership in town here, but they don't have a body shop, so they subcontract to Terrace Bay. So it's currently in Terrace Bay
Okay.
shop.
But as a subcontract, okay.
Yep. And then just further down, if you take a look at your gov deals, those bids have closed, Thursday last week. We sold the oil tank for just under $4,000 and it was picked up yesterday, so it's gone.
I've seen it going by my place.
Yep, and, the oil furnace, closed at $500 and, I haven't received arrangements to pick that up yet, but it is also sold.
So both pieces have sold.
Yep.
That's good. That is good. I was reading through your aqua, and some of those things that we had talked about at the meeting before about the emergency lights being fixed.
Yep.
And talking about, the butterfly valves, they can't be rebuilt?
They cannot be rebuilt. They are sealed units. And the question to Councillor McGrath's question as far as the UVT average of 73.3, we were originally concerned because it's recommended to be 75%, but that is for drinking water, that parameter. So for wastewater, it's actually at 60%. And if you look on page 6 of that report, it will tell you what the criteria is, and it indicates 60 there, so our 73% is going to be more than adequate.
Thanks, Tammy.
Yeah. And one quick question on the Ontario Street reline project. Tell me, is this a reline or is it structural? Is this fiberglass or cement we're relining this pipe with?
The pipe is, it's a cement material.
Okay.
And, no, I'm sorry, I might be wrong on that. I think it's a steel pipe. And, right now, like the inside of the pipe gets rusted over time. And so relining it will give it a fresh, coat inside and prolong the life of that pipe.
But if there are leaks in that pipe, will that reline fix those leaks?
There are no leaks in that pipe.
There's no leaks in that pipe, okay.
We are strictly doing this to bring the life expectancy up to equal the rest of the infrastructure in town.
Okay,
and
so it's probably not cement then?
No, sorry,
I guess
it
it is.
is.
No, that's okay,
Yep.
that's okay. Excellent.
Okay, everybody good now with that? Move on to, number 4, Director of Operations report and the Aqua Filter Performance Assessment.
Recommendation here to accept the fixed price proposal from Aqua for the filter performance study in the amount of $27,495. I should clarify that this is excluding taxes as stated in their quote.
And this money was budgeted in the 2022 budget.
You've actually got 35,000 budgeted for the filter study and their numbers came in lower.
So that's the money we just moved over to cover this.
Yeah, so it's already budgeted for.
And they've already got engineers in town, starting that process. They're optimizing the filter, filling the media back up and, changing these butterfly valves that we talked about. And then Aqua engineers were in town. I expect them this week to start training, staff down there on how to collect the data that they need for this study.
But they're already starting to top off the
Well,
filters?
they've gotta do the butterfly valves first, because otherwise you'll just wash away your media. So they're changing the butterfly valves first, and then the media will be topped up.
this is going to be done?
Prior to April, before the turnover happens. We're trying to optimize the operation before turnover happens.
Okay.
So Tammy, is this study being performed by current Aqua employees?
Not local, but yes.
But yeah, so it's not people we're already currently paying a wage to, and now we're going to also give them $27,000.
No,
This is
no.
a separate thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
And I see your concern. Okay.
Director of Operations report on the Worthington Bay Cemetery.
So recommendation here that council adopt a work plan over a number of years to alleviate the cost burden on taxpayers for the development of the Worthington Bay Cemetery. Tammy's provided option one where over a period of 5 years to put away $20,000, or option two where in 1 year everything could be done at $100,000 worth of cost. If you look at the next report there, provided by Cecile there, the Schreiber Cemetery is projected to reach capacity for full burials in 12 years, right? Approximately 12 years. So you have, well, we're looking at a 12-year window. Again, we don't really have a crystal ball, you know, this is again based on averages. But I think the main takeaway here is that if you want to continue this service, you know, there is going to be a cost coming up. What Tammy's research now is that this cost is going to be approximately $100,000. The only thing is if we go ahead to initiate it earlier, you're preparing for the inevitable future, but then you have that additional operating cost of maintaining the grounds from that point on. So
I don't have any problem putting money away if we possibly can. How we generate that through the cemetery or whatever, but yeah, I don't want to move too fast on it. I mean, they're both good reports, but I'd put it on the shelf and look at the numbers at the same time again next year. And I look at them and go from there. I wouldn't go, I don't think I'd go out there right now, because, I mean, and start cutting, because by the time we get there, it's gonna be grown in again. Once we go out there, and I'm not saying that maybe we won't, but maybe the next people will forget about it. And we're gonna be back in square one again.
I would agree. With
Right.
9 niches, 23 cremation lots, 23 full lots, and at a rate of 2.65 a year, I think we're going to be in this cemetery for quite a while. But I also agree with Tammy that start budgeting $10,000 a year. I think it might be smart for council to, just as an expense, start moving $10,000 into that reserve account. Right now, your cemetery, for the new cemetery, we currently only have about $23,000 in there, but you start talking in $10,000 a year, you could start working towards, maybe even in 5 years, going, hey, we have these numbers, let's take a look at it, and now we have the money put away for it.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, you're right. I wouldn't do absolutely nothing, but I would think too that, I don't know what you think, Dan, I would be thinking about moving money into reserve now as a normal course of business for this.
Yeah, looking at the numbers, it looks like we have some time before we have to pull the trigger on this, for sure.
But I think do you not think we should start, we maybe should be moving money over every year?
Well,
if there's money.
it's just, yeah, if there's monies there and how much.
If you are looking into the reserve option, we'll have to just double check, because right now, money is being moved from the care and maintenance, and there's some regulations and how that can be used, so we'd have to double check if it can be
Okay.
used for actually new cemetery. I know it's kind of stated as
Yeah,
sort of new cemetery or cemetery expansion, but
Yeah.
it's, care and maintenance monies that are being put into that, so there's a bit of rules on how it can be spent, so
Right.
if we are looking at a reserve, we may have to do a completely, just look into it
at a
carefully.
new fund.
Yeah,
Yeah.
either something new or within another reserve, that,
So that care and maintenance may only apply to the existing cemetery and not be used for any.
yeah, we'd have to do some research on that to
Yeah.
double check.
Can you do that? Because even if we had to say, if it wasn't gonna work in a budget this year, even if we had to move something out from infrastructure into a new reserve fund. Cause I take her point, at some point, this is gonna become an issue. So I think
Yeah, at some
we need to
point.
we need to start budget, I mean, why wait?
Yeah, and the other side of that is expenses are gonna, I mean, this is the cost this year, what's gonna
Could
be
very well
next-
go up.
Next year, yeah, so, yeah. So-
Worthington Bay, that lot for the cemetery is a sensitive topic. Like for residents in town, nobody wants to be the first one buried there.
But once
No,
all
they
that.
just don't.
Just a question to Tammy though, once all that, and maybe we discussed this before, but once you do all the rooting, the cutting trees and rooting it all out, and how much maintenance is it then to keep it up to standard? So that it's usable like 5 years down the road or 10
I
years down the road?
propose that during the summer months, we cut it once a month, just to keep the brush from growing back and keep the grass down, that it doesn't get overgrown. But as soon as, it's occupied in any way, it would, follow the same regiment as this one, where it gets cut every week.
And how big of an area is that?
The site plan for the Worthington Bay Cemetery is quite large, and the plans that I have seen, shows only half of it being, clear-cutted already, that has allowed, and brush has grown back because it hasn't been maintained. I would ensure that that doesn't happen
Yeah.
if we cleared the land again. There is a fence around the property already, and so I think that you're looking at about 1 acre that we would clear and develop. And
Yeah.
you have a second acre to develop later in years.
Yeah, cause it is, I've been in there, it's grown up pretty bad.
Mhm.
So that's ongoing maintenance.
And the longer we
maintenance.
leave it, the bigger those trees get,
Yeah.
the more it's going to cost
Cost
to
to move it.
take the roots out. Right now, they can be easily pulled out with machinery, but, once they are full mature trees, they'll have to be dug out.
But just to do that 1 acre to clear up what's kind of overgrown, that we're looking at 25,000.
Yep.
So to clarify, Joel, are looking at some sort of then reserve to save money into, to look at this in the future. That's, what you all are in agreement with.
I think so.
That'd be my thought.
Yeah, unless we mysteriously have 25,000 left in this year's budget,
Yeah.
which ain't gonna happen.
Okay, so I can have staff, look into, the best way to, look into that in terms of next steps.
Yeah, I don't think I'd wanna do anything out there right now. Not at all.
Dave?
Yeah, no. I agree with Lou.
Okay. So I covered 5 and 6 really, and then we can take a look at these reports again. next year. Okay, number 7 then, Finance, Special Projects Administrator Report, Lake Superior North Shore Project, what Suzanne was talking about.
So the recommendation here for the Township of Schreiber to support Superior Country with a contribution of $1,200 per year over a period of 3 years.
I do not have a problem with that.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
That
I'm
was
good with
part of
that.
my,
That's a good investment.
I agree.
promoting the region as a
Yeah.
whole.
Even the way she worded it, saying that 3,600 bucks, you're leveraging 400 and something thousand dollars, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, 12 a year, so.
Yeah.
Okay, we're good with that then.
Mhm.
Schreiber Public Library Board meeting minutes.
Does anyone have any questions?
I just had one that that connectivity grant. Did they get that? Did they receive that?
Yes.
Yes?
Marlene says they did. Yes,
So,
they did.
do you think they're gonna rework their budget numbers then for next year?
No,
No.
that's kinda changing.
Yeah, they moved things around. There's like an updated budget.
Well, for 2023, they won't be getting the connectivity funding from OLS, it's coming from a different body, cause they've changed their provider.
So you'll still see, that's not the internet though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the internet?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you'll
That's
still
true.
see the internet budget line, but they changed some other things.
Okay.
But nothing's really changed at the whole, it's still the same
Overall.
line, yeah, on the
Okay.
budget, yeah.
That's the fiber, that's not really fiber, or?
Yes. Yeah, but it's free, so.
Yeah, exactly. Can't beat that.
No.
Well, no, exactly, right? The other thing I had this early on, visiting the library monthly to promote literacy with parents. I love that program.
Yeah, it's a good.
I think that's
great.
an awesome program.
And their book bags are, been very successful, the monthly book bags that families come in, they pick up, and then they have little activities in there with the book, and when they return the book, it's
Yeah.
it's going good.
Perfect then. Okay, number 9. Thought I forgot.
Yeah.
Director of Operations Report, Claude Diley.
That's something else, that's gotta be.
So recommendation here to enter into a preventative maintenance service agreement with Claude Darling in the amount of $13,700 per annum plus applicable taxes.
Based on the numbers of previous years, I think this makes sense.
Yeah. I
And when
mean,
we decided to do it last year, I think we said we'd run it for a couple of years to see if it made any sense, and from the report I'm looking at there, I think it did, except for the, I
For
mean,
this
the
place,
find
but-
here, but I mean, it's a
But the
good thing,
preventative
it's a good thing
maintenance
too.
did detect the possible catastrophic failures here, right, before they
Yeah,
happen.
I mean, that was,
Yeah,
So what's the change in cost then?
there is no change in cost.
Okay, so.
Same as last year.
Same as last year, so.
like I worked it out, and to me, it works out to be about $165 a month per building. It's pretty inexpensive.
Mhm.
I only have one question, is that we don't have staff on hand that can do this, Tim? Who would do like this regular maintenance stuff, and maybe we don't, but I just was kind of curious.
We have staff that could do limited maintenance. Not any adjustments or belts, or like, we could change filters.
Okay,
Yeah. And-
okay,
And they're still gonna do that, right? Because-
Well, these guys supply the filters and the belts, so we would let them do it
Okay.
as part
Lubricants,
of the
cleaning.
contract.
And the filters don't have to be changed more than that many times a year?
They change
though?
them 4 times a year, and then
And
anything in
that's
between,
enough.
they leave us a stock, And if we need to change them more often, we do.
Okay.
I would think that's probably, I don't know, overkill myself, but I don't know the systems well enough to even speak to that. But then we also save $30 an hour on other stuff that they come to do outside of the regular maintenance.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that makes good,
Yeah,
it makes
they're
good fiscal
hourly.
sense.
Their
Yeah.
hourly rate. Okay, so this contract then, you still gotta go through it, cause the municipal building's got one boiler only and the oil furnace still in it, so you gotta revamp that.
Yes, and we're
eh?
also adding, I did speak to them, they're modifying this building, and then they're also adding the Discovery Center HVAC to it.
Okay,
For the same
For the
price?
same price?
Yep, yep, no
Yeah.
change, no change,
Okay, so that'll be the contract you sign with the, okay.
yep,
with those two changes.
yep.
Okay.
Okay. So with that, we'll move into communications then.
This letter from Superior Greenstone. I like the answer, but I think where they're talking about that prohibits parking in front of that school, I think what they're looking for is they wanna have no parking signs up at any time along there, and I don't know that you could do that even if you wanted to.
No,
I mean, you've explained that, no, we've got calendar parking between these hours, but I think from reading his letter, what he's after is designating that whole strip no parking, and I don't imagine that you could.
that's a big process, because don't forget, all municipal roadways are classed as highways.
That's right.
Just different classes, and it's a process you gotta go through.
So it wouldn't have been an easy thing, and even if we thought we could do it.
No.
Okay.
And the parking on that side of the street is really not an issue. I mean, I drove school bus for 20 years. I mean, the parking on that side of the street is not an issue. You'd always come in on the same direction so that your loading door is in the loading zone. So, having traffic on that side is really quite irrelevant. And it would be up to the school board to channel the pedestrian traffic, not between the buses. Like, I would think that they already do that, and, so any kids going to parked vehicles on that side of the street, could be managed either by a crosswalk or, but again, that installing a crosswalk is a process.
It is. Right, cause you have to follow the Highway Traffic
I
Act.
mean, ultimately, it's not our fault there's no parking for the school employees there.
Yeah, no, there's not.
Like, really. Just the way the school was built. There's no parking.
Well, they do have a parking lot there,
But
but it's too small.
And it's shared with,
Is it
there
shared?
early on, too.
Shared with,
Early on.
okay.
Yeah, cause early on Park's down at that end, and that's where that parking is, right, at
Yeah.
the back end of that.
And I believe there's actual signs there that say for early on only.
Right, I think you're right.
I don't think the staff at the school can park there.
Yeah, okay.
I think they're in talks of making a parking.
Yeah, I mean, they just have to figure that out themselves. I thought your response was good, Ted.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
did. I was just thinking, cause we talked about, we have that bylaw between 2 and 7, I think, I was just reading, when I reread his letter, I'm thinking, I think he's looking for permanent, but I don't think you can do that very easily.
No.
Okay. That was a good answer.
I didn't have anything else that
Yeah.
jumped out at me.
More Highway 17. Don't know if anybody had any questions about the DSAB minutes. And pretty much let you know.
Anything that jumped out at you and
No.
going on at DSAP?
No. The first one was the budget meeting. That was a long meeting, that went all day, and it was just basically setting up their budget for the whole year. And then the second orientation meeting, I went to the first orientation meeting, but the second one on January the 12th, we were in Thunder Bay at Aviation. That one I
Right.
missed, but when I went over that, it was really just electing all their chair, vice chair, having their committees and stuff set up.
Yeah, okay. Now, shooting a letter or a resolution, I want to support that.
More Bill 3.
Most of the Bill 3 stuff you've already seen. The only reason I put it back on the agenda again is just, I put in anything from the local municipality
Yeah.
just because it's
Yeah.
more relevant to here.
Okay. Nothing else jumping out at anybody? We'll
The
move
only,
on.
the only was that last
Okay.
one, do we have in Schreiber concerns surrounding the accuracy of a voters list? I didn't think we did. So this is just a community's single issue. Okay.
The benefit of Schreiber being a small town is we know everyone.
Okay. Yeah, I was kind of surprised to see that, but. Okay.
Okay, unfinished business, number 1. Watering of municipal seasonal hanging back plants.
We developed a contract and we haven't got it signed yet, but we did move into what you say discussions and got verbal confirmation that you know, this service at any time could be terminated, and pay would be basically based on a pro rata basis. So for whatever reason, if it does need to be canceled, for whatever reason, it would be, you know, only what you've used up that you'd be paying.
We can do it, okay.
Sounds good. That makes me
Okay.
feel better.
Okay.
Okay, I'll let them know tonight then. Okay, other business, March meeting schedule. And that was,
We're looking now at, for the 14th, looking at the afternoon or evening for the 13th.
yeah, the reason I have to be up Thunder Bay.
On the 14th? On the 14th?
Very early in the morning on the
Okay.
15th
Okay.
for doctors and that. So I was hoping to have it on the 13th.
Yeah, I mean, it's March break, so I could be here whenever, so I'm okay with that. Unless we decide to go somewhere.
And time of day or night does not matter to me on the 13th.
I'm good.
Is-
whenever.
Pardon?
Night.
Not night.
Yep.
Oh, you wanted that, okay,
Can't do
that,
it during the
okay,
day on the 13th.
okay.
Is it possible, Nathan, that if you're gonna move it to the Monday, that you could get the council package out on the Wednesday late afternoon?
It
Only
has
because
to.
I'm in training all day Friday.
Late afternoon, yeah, it has to.
By Wednesday instead of Thursday?
Yeah,
Correct.
they were,
You could do that?
yeah,
It would
Okay.
have to go out by, again,
That's
24 hours. 24 hours earlier, right?
yeah.
Okay, as long as, only because I wouldn't have Friday's gonna be a wash for me.
Yeah, the
'Cause
main
I
thing
have that
is.
new counselor training all day.
With these regular council meetings, we try to get them, what is it typically then, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 business days, right? So ahead of, when we're meeting, so.
And it's
that
gonna
would
be
have to
normal time?
maintained.
Yeah.
And it would be 6:30.
Okay.
Thank you.
No change then to the one on the 16th?
16.
Who's attending?
Depends.
Not really, actually, it's still not confirmed.
Still not
With-
confirmed?
Well, she'll confirm it probably a couple days before, maybe.
This is
With Lee's.
potential visit
Oh.
by Lee's. So if I get, quorum in terms of counselors, so more than 3 showing up, it will have to be a special council meeting. Otherwise, if it's just 2, right, you can meet here, no problem.
If there's me and somebody else, then it's no problem. If there's
don't know if
more
I'll
than
be
that,
here or
that's
not.
no problem. We just gotta go to the meeting.
Yeah, shit. If I thought she was coming, I'd send my regrets to, I have DSAB meeting that same day,
Oh, okay.
on March 16th. If I knew she was coming, I'd just send my regrets to DSAB and stay
Yeah.
here for that. But,
She's traveling to Marathon or something that day, so she would stop in here, so
On the way there or the way back?
on the way there.
Yeah, I won't be able to do that probably.
Yeah, so it'll be noon on the 16th if she confirms.
if she confirms. Okay. I'm gonna add this just in case. And you, as we get closer, you guys will let us know.
As soon as I hear from her, I will let everybody know.
Okay. All right. Okay.
The counselor training, that's on the 10th, starts at 9.
Yeah. And I think, oh, this is an all-day virtual thing. I'm thinking, wow, okay.
Okay, then, that's a wrap on but we have to go back
Okay.
in the close. So, resolution 81-23. Moved by Councilor McGrath, seconded by Councilor Bergeau, that the closed meeting resume at this time. All those in favor?